Hat on. Here we are. We're looking all right. Not great, but all right. Fix the hair. We're all good. Let's remove the tomato. No more tomato. In the comments section. Welcome aboard, everybody. Here we go. Monday, June 20th. This weekend. Whoa, what a weekend. Besides Father's Day. That was always a nice thing there. And Juneteenth Day. So happy Juneteenth Day to those. Kind of. There's so many things to say about that one, but well, you could throw communications into that one too. But you know what? Good to see that celebrated. Good to see a lot of things move forward. Got a lot of things to move forward. All right, let's go to the moving forward though. Besides the Father's Day thing, which I watched some video, that's like 20th on the most popular holidays. You know, it's behind Arbor Day. I don't know how old that video was that I saw, but that was kind of it was kind of funny. As that goes. It was Christmas was one, Mother's Day was the other. A plus. There we go. So it was great to be able to get down there to see the students, to see the teachers, instructors, the leaders. Man, they were just chatting away, as was everybody. So here's the story on this. Here's the backstory. Definitely want to make sure that you got the whole story here. In 2021, the Hop Hog Industry Association has its trade show. Okay, what's going on with that one? At that trade show, I thought it would be a good idea to use the trade show as a way to highlight, Doug, good afternoon, as a very in your face way of highlighting the importance of a drag strip on Long Island that would be, in my opinion, a catalyst for the automotive programs inside of the high schools. Why the whole thing? Why the whole thing? I like the idea of a drag strip. That's what originally caught my attention. Thought it would be something that would be nice to see here, but it goes a little bit beyond the nice. I had a conversation with my dad. All right, my father and I and friends, we used to go to Islip Speedway, no longer in existence. Went to Freeport Speedway, no longer in existence. Went out to Riverhead. I don't really recall going to Riverhead as a kid. We lived a little bit further in, so I don't think we went there. And the other two tracks were much closer. Now I've been out to Riverhead. The Hampton Speedway, the road course, right? There was a road course out in the Hamptons. It's not just any road course. You're talking like Mario Andretti drove there. The Formula One cars drove there. They drove all the way out to the Hamptons for that. No longer in existence. Speedways, the race, the dragways, all gone. Islip had a small one. The National Speedway, was the big one. I was looking at some of the older videos on that one, and you had some really big name drivers. Don Prudhomme, Garlitz, was out there, along with so many others that were part of the whole thing. Fascinating history. All gone. All gone. The only thing that exists right now from a racetrack standpoint is Riverhead Raceway. There's a temporary allowance for the drag strip that is in the EPCAL Center. That's the Executive Park at Calverton. It's where Grumman was. Grumman. Where Grumman was. Grumman had the Bethpage facility, and Grumman also had the Calverton, right in the area of Riverhead. That facility. What was happening at both of these places? Everything. Everything. You want to talk about technology moving forward. You want to talk about unbelievable careers. You want to talk about the contribution that the Long Island aerospace community still has in the furtherance of NASA and our military. Amazing. I mean, just amazing. The lunar module here. You want to go see this stuff? You go to the Space Museum, that's over in the on Museum Row. And you can see this stuff. It's all there. The history of flight. Over here on Long Island. You want to talk about World War II? I mean, amazing what was done here. All right, Doolittle, the Doolittle raid, right? They practiced here, right? Charles Lindbergh took off from here, and there's other stories too. It's just incredible, incredible, incredible how much technology has moved us forward. Incredible how much technology has been driven from Long Islanders. Yeah, this little strip of Long Island, you know, that neighboring suburb of Manhattan, New York City, where it all happens. It's not where it all happens. Where a lot of things happen. Not where it all happens, though. A lot of it happens out here. So when this idea of a drag strip came up, and I'm thinking, hey, that would be kind of nostalgic. And I spoke to my dad. He was like, yeah, yeah, we used to go. And I asked him, it's like, why? He's had an interest in cars, but no, we don't have an automotive background, nothing like that. It was just a fun family thing to go, quote unquote. That was why we went. It was a fun family thing to go. Loved going down there to see these cars, Volkswagen races, football demolition derby. It's, unbelievable. Car rollover contest, Joey Chitwood, all these other things. It was family fun. Family fun. So when they spoke about the drag racing out there, I was like, hey, that could be family fun, right? Nice clean day, you go out, great stuff. So I had an interest. Spoke to Dennis Catani about it, told me about the survey that was done, big time study that was done, actually, not a survey, but a real study about what a permanent facility would add to Long Island. Permanent facility. $17 million was the number. $17 million. Now, that was based on a few assumptions. Big one, that's not right now, is that it's a permanent facility. That's big. The other thing that would take place would be have to have a number of weekends where the facility is being used. And the assumptions would be that there would be drivers from in and around the Northeast, maybe beyond, that would come to the track over here and race. Uh, could it be? Didn't know. Didn't know. Had further conversations with Dennis. Then all of a sudden, last year, that was 4 years ago, I got that one started. Then last year, a group called Racetrack Not Street, that's Pete Scalzi, he's the track operator, him and Tom Wilson. They got approval from the town of Riverhead, the Riverhead supervisor and the town board, agreed for a temporary race track. And this would be at the EPCAL Center, and it would be on the 7,000-foot runway, and it would be an eighth of a mile, and there would be concrete barriers, and there would be a lighting, the Christmas tree, the light system, and an announcer stands, and it would be limited to 2,500 people. It would be limited to cars with mufflers, and that was about that. There was what about the noise? Oh, the mufflers kind of took care of that. And what about the traffic? 2,500 people going to an event where, like, I would say half, I don't know the exact numbers, but where half of the attendees are the drivers and also their family and maybe pit crew and stuff like that. So they allow 250 cars to be registered to race at the track on any given day. So 250 cars, that includes you got a driver, that's 250. That's 10% of number right there. They're going to bring a crew member, a family friend, stuff like that. You could be talking half the attendees right there. And they're showing up for racing that takes place from 11 to 4 p.m. The tech that they need to go through, because there are safety factors that have to be taken into account over here. Car has to be in good shape, battery tied down, and a few other things. So they're showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're racing until 4 o'clock, and then they're dispersing. So it's not like you go to a ball game and then the game ends and everybody bails out of the stadium altogether. It flows in, it flows out. It's probably the slowest part of the racing is when people come in and when people leave. Everybody's nice and relaxed, so it works out pretty well. So that was no issue there too. I'm thinking, all right, now we got the family aspect of it. We got the local aspect of it too, because a lot of these drivers, as I've gotten to know them, are traveling out to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, etc. to go race their cars. And they're like thrilled. Wow, wouldn't it be great to drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get out to the track in Calverton, as opposed to driving, I would say 1 hour. It's probably 1 hour to get to the bridge, then the toll of the bridge, then another 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it might be, getting to the track they're going. And then think about the money that they spend on that whole thing between gas, gas tolls, time, food that they're spending their food money away from Long Island, maybe hotels, maybe bringing the family, maybe not because it's a weekend now, not a day, or it's one very, very long day. Mondays do stay for the day. So the question really was, I said, if there was a track here, is it a tourist attraction? Would it bring in people from the outside? According to that study, the answer was yes, but only if it was a permanent track and you get the big races and stuff like that. So I asked the supervisor, I said, look, one of the things that I think that would add to the story of this thing being a permanent facility would be the family fun. Hey, that was great. That was there. Food trucks, all well and good, super clean, uh, accessible by wheelchair. Okay, Roberta Rosenberg does a website, Destination Accessible. So we got to get this Roberta out there at YouTube, Doug, to go and see the place. But the Destination Accessible, if you're in a wheelchair or you got family in a wheelchair and you're looking to go someplace, go to her website. Multitude of different suggestions for you. So you got all the family fun. And then when I went out there to go actually see the races, I was like, wow, didn't know. Didn't know that it was not just family fun, it was family participation. Monte Carlo, father son out there. There's another father son. I forget their last names, but I was bantering so much about it. Yeah, they gave me the microphone. I was bantering so much about it. He's in the car waiting for his turn, actually at the starting area and the whole thing. And he's listening to me yak about the whole thing. I had the guy laughing. I had him laughing. You're supposed to be focused on driving the car. Don't laugh. Stay focused. Stay focused. So anyhow, that was where that one went. So family fun, no. So then you got the Dobries and a couple of other families down there. 7-year-old race car drivers. 7 years old. They're driving junior dragsters. Then you had the other guy driving the Hudson, 83, I think his age was. If I'm wrong by a year. So who cares? Then you hear the other side of the family side of it. Family side of it. This story came through the supervisor. It wasn't a direct one on my side. But the father was in an assisted living facility, maybe a nursing home, but assisted living facility doesn't make a difference. Father was in one of the facilities. They asked the father and took the father over here. Why'd they do that? Because he actually used to be the track operator at Iceland. Thought we'd enjoy it. What they didn't know is that it was like the highlight of everything. He just absolutely loved being at the track again. And that was beautiful. So your family, generational family, without a doubt. So that's there. The tourism stuff. So I asked the supervisors, like, look, it's a nice argument to make over here about, hey, why, permanent facility, good family fun, good, okay. Add one on the Long Island tourism, the Long Island entertainment side of it. Get a few more dollars spent over here, or at least money not spent away. So these folks that are racing their car, hey, they may be making food at home. They're having breakfast at home, racing the car, going home, and at night for dinner because they can. They're close enough to do it, or just bringing food, whatever. So I was like, well, what about the economic impact from a tourism standpoint? All right, one is that the folks at the track had a multitude of food trucks to choose from. So yeah, that money that was spent there, good, right? Maybe not a game changer, but good. Hotels, the hotels saw a pickup in this thing. Maybe these folks are not just local people traveling here, or maybe they're just from Nassau County, want to make a weekend out of it, don't want to travel back and forth. Restaurants saw a pickup also, and this is just out of a temporary track. So now you have that aspect thrown into the equation. And then you have the other side of it that I have really looked to further. I think that stuff is good. And you want to know something? If we can have some of the Long Island based companies that are looking to promote Long Island, get them out at the track, they're going to see that too. Right? They're going to see that also. But here's the other aspect of it. What about these students? Let's bring this back over here, right? What about those folks that work for Grumman back in the day? What about the folks that work for all those technology companies, aerospace companies back in the day? Right? Why did they prosper so much? Why those aerospace companies prosper so much? Well, it was a need. It was a need, and a geographical location, I guess, fit, in that one too. So it happened. Now, technology is changing without a doubt, and there's a lot of second generation Grumman employees here, aerospace employees here, aerospace companies. A lot of them, those aerospace companies are multi generational aerospace companies that are here. There's also a lot of construction companies that are here. There's also, as I've learned, something like 3,000 manufacturing companies that are here. Now, if I'm sitting there and I was thinking out loud, and I was told, yeah, absolutely. Because I'm thinking if there's a place for the students that are in the automotive programs to take their car, and I think Oceanside's going to bring their car out there this year. But if there was a place on Long Island for them to bring their car that meets the safety issues, but it's not street legal, and they had a place to run that car, how excited do you think those students would be about being in an automotive program? And then also making sure the car looks good. That would be the visual. It's visual students too, right? And so that's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking. And again, I don't build cars. I didn't know a lot. I'm getting very exposed to a lot more. And even at this car show that I'm going to get to, I can tell you, there was so much I learned. But I'm thinking that if there was a motorsports park for these students that are in the high school automotive programs to bring the cars, it would be a nice catalyst for these high school programs. What did I find out? One, you got Wilson Tech, BOCES program, Suffolk Community College also has an automotive program. That's not even just high school. We're talking a step beyond that too, aren't we? Then I find out that Tesla actually offers paid internships to a certain number of students that are in the Suffolk automotive program. Who knew? I didn't know. Did you? Then getting to understand what goes into actually building a car, because I don't build cars. And this is some of the things I took away exactly from the Oceanside High School students and the instructors when they came to the HIA trade show last year, because we had this conversation. Most of the conversation we had, though, was about businesses participating at the high schools and how good that would be for businesses because they would be in the business community, would be introducing themselves to future employees. Manufacturers are looking for so many new people to come into their facilities. They've got a lot of open positions. And this is a great way to introduce those students to that. It's also a great way for the students to introduce career possibilities within industries with different specialties. And then I started to listen a lot more because there's been a few folks that were able to point things out to me again that I just wasn't out aware of. But yesterday, when I was at Oceanside, and I'll get to the photo album there too. But yesterday, when I was at Oceanside, I started speaking to John, about that, and everything I was thinking, and then a lot more than that, really came to be 100% true and verified. Spoke to somebody at an aerospace company here on Long Island, a very well-known aerospace company on Long Island. I was like, look, if you get, these students building cars, does that translate to the aerospace industry? I know I've been saying that, but is it really? I want to make sure we're spitting out the truth. I was thinking, yeah, logical, right? You're working with your hands. Go, oh, I got an absolutely on that one. Almost got cut off on the question. Oh, without a doubt. And then he told me his own story about what he did in college. I said, wow, that's kind of fascinating. And then I looked into that. And then I find out that another one of our colleges are actually involved in that program. I don't have time to go into that program here today, but I will. I will. But those students in Oceanside, when they're building that car, and I'm going to oversimplify this for you right now because I can't give you the technical stuff on there, but they're building a car. They're learning about welding. They're learning about blueprints. They're learning about the electrical components of the whole thing. Learning, of course, about the engine, and then they have to design this thing because what they built was a rat rod. The body was one thing, but the chassis all had to be built. Had to be built. I mean, you're really learning about steel and welding for strength. But then when they're welding other parts of the body, now you're welding for looks. It's not just a matter of being strong. The weld's got to be good, and it's got to look good. And I'm equating that back to when we put metal poles in our house, handrails in our house. It was metal, and you saw the welds. They had to be good looking welds. They didn't just you know you know bring them down, file them down. You saw the weld. It was part of the handrail. It was part of the texture of the whole thing. Same with the car. In fact, even the way they shaded the car, the way they left the color of the car, and then they put a coating on top of it was something too. So the visual side of it is also. And then how do you get this stuff promoted out? You got people taking pictures and so many things. But even yesterday, you have event planners there too. They did a car show. The students did a car show. They had T-shirts, they had stickers they gave away. They had, there's a food truck there. How to coordinate all these things. How to coordinate everything. It's amazing what the students learn by doing. We need to give them up that opportunity. So I really think that a motorsports park, whatever it might be, really can be a benefit to the high school automotive programs, and the automotive programs can be a benefit to all the other programs, all the other tech programs that are inside of these high schools, and that will, in essence, become a huge benefit to our employers when it comes to finding motivated, qualified employees for their companies. That I think is fascinating. That's a story I want to continue to tell. But first, let's take a look at some photos. All right, here we go. We got 7 minutes to go here. All right, let's go. Let's go with share screen, and let's see. I think it's window. Boom, share. All right, here we go. So we're going to flip through these photos over here. So it's the Oceanside High School. You can read this thing. Oceanside High School technical education program, right? Not just automotive, technical education. That's why they built the boat. So that was Saturday, June 18th. That was the boat they built. And they put this together a couple of years ago, brought that to that HIA trade show. Learned about woodworking, learned about that aerodynamics, although the boat goes pretty quickly, but also how the boat travels through water, etc. Number of other components. There was a food truck that was there. People having a good old time. Some of the cars, there was plenty of cars that came down there for this. Some of them local, some of them not so local. And I had a good time taking some photos too. Look at that, nice clean car. And I did put the photo album up on my page. Love these cars, right? I did put the photo album up on my page so you can see that they're tagged Oceanside High School, etc. That one's another one for my dad. That goes back to his era. I don't know if that engine goes back to his era. I think that one's been worked on a little bit. How about this? These guys were outrageous. They came from New York City. They came on out for this thing. And I was like, I can only imagine what this looks like as they're rolling down the street. Rather intimidating. Really enthralled by these cars, I got to tell you. I'm trying to figure out how to take some good photos of these things when they're close together and stuff like that, and all the rest of it. But I think pretty good. Pretty good. Left it on automatic, kind of like, went down on that one. This guy, he's a graduate, 1977 class. I had a nice time chatting with him about the car. He has been working on this car himself as a educational tool, believe it or not. So he would do something. If it didn't come out right, he'd do it again and do it again and kept on doing it again till he got it right. So it was his work. Definitely his work. Great stuff. This car, I don't know what it is about the color of that car, but man, I just find it to be, I don't know, just like a understated yet powerful color. Really beautiful thing. That is the car that the students built, right? Everything on it. They didn't build the engine. I mean, it looks like somebody donated that engine or something like that. But whatever. They made the whole thing work. The car runs, and according to John, we should see that car out at Calverton sometime this year. Gave away trophies to some of the cars, best in, well, just some of the cars. They got trophies. That's the team. They just had a ball doing the whole thing. Another one of the cars. That, my friends, is what I've been told is next year's challenge. Uh, he wants to put a turbo in there and stuff like that. So we shall see what it looks like. But we have the before picture. We'll see how it goes with the afterwards. Another picture of the car. Thank you over there to all those folks that participated. And a little shout out there to Dennis. Dennis, your name is up there too. So bravo, man. Thanks for coming down and helping. This car too. That's good. I can see someone taking that one food shopping, right? How do you get the food up there? How do you get those groceries in the trunk? Little bit of a challenge. This one, beautiful. Just clean, beautiful car. This guy had a story to tell. Little car number 229. He said the last time we put gas in this car, it was $2.29 a gallon. I was like, okay. And then he had on a USS Arizona hat. I was like, he was a little too young to be on Arizona during Pearl Harbor, but he was part of the team that went back down there. Interesting stories. Again, totally different topic, but still, these folks have got stories. Food truck, of course, and that is that. All right, let's stop the share. There's one story I do want to tell you, and then we're going to call it a day over here, and that is good. We left 2 minutes. There's one guy in particular. Hey, Kurt, thanks for joining us over here today. You are around here on the island, right? You didn't go down to Hawaii on us? All out of you too, my friend. I'm going to give you a story about one guy. One guy. So one guy had a choice in high school, and maybe we all had the same choice in high school. There was different groups of people. There was the jocks, there was the students, and there was the in-between crowd, as that one went. Right. Well, he didn't fall into the jock category, and he didn't fall into the super student category. Then he winds up in this middle range over here. And then even that can get kind of broken down from a little bit of a subset, shall we say. It's the veer off course or get focused on something. Turns out he got focused on something. He got focused on cars, working on cars at this school. The choices he made at this school wound up impacting him forever. If I've got this story correct, and I didn't combine it with 2 people, and I don't think I did, but even if I am, here's the story. He wound up working on cars and having a good time doing it. He wound up working on cars at BOCES back in the day, and he wound up getting paid to do valve jobs and stuff like that. Great. Wound up staying in the same industry, got a job at a gas station. The gas station owner found out he could do valve jobs, brake jobs, stuff like that. Wound up getting raises. Fantastic. Wound up growing from there, started career, stayed in automotive, as a career. Went to go buy a house. And maybe this gets on the fanatical side of things. I'll give you that. Went to go buy a house that had the room for a 6-car garage. That's right, 6-car garage. I didn't pay a 3 and then a lift, whatever. I didn't get that. I was kind of amazed at the whole thing. And then he is working on the cars over here. But you know what happened? One is he figured out at an early age what it is that he liked to do. He also figured out at an early age that he was good at doing what he liked to do. That's a fantastic story. That's a story I like telling all the high school students. I don't care what program you're going to or anything like that, but what is it that you would do in your spare time that you're good at doing, where you just use the word just, where you just gravitate toward that whole thing? He did. Maybe somebody guided him or not, whatever, but still he made that decision and he stuck with it. And now he's doing car shows 30 years later, 40 years later, at the high school that you graduated from. How cool is that? How great of a story is that when it goes in there and speaks to those students? How great is your story when you go back to your alma mater? When you participate in any of these high school programs, when you just get out there and chat to others about what you have done, how you have progressed, have you moved forward because you just found something of interest in high school or college or elementary school or at some point in time. And you know what? My story, not like that. If I look back, I could see things. I didn't follow that path. Now, trying to follow that path a bit more, a little bit more difficult. When you've gotten to a certain point, trying to make a transition on the whole thing. But if we could speak to those students when they're young, like that fourth grade class I spoke to, and another middle school class I spoke to, where one of the guys said he wanted to get into announcing. I told him, just go right over to the principal's office and tell him that you want to make the morning announcements. Get in front of the microphone anytime you possibly can. And the younger you are, the younger we could speak to these students about doing something like that, well, I think the more impactful the whole conversation would be, and the more successful their whole career would be, the more motivated they are. And just like that guy I spoke about, the right decisions come along also. You don't get into trouble, you get focused. And you get focused on an area where you just truly love doing what you're doing. That's something else. 6-car garage, okay, maybe a little bit much. Having a real studio in your house as opposed to spare room, hey, that might be a little bit much, but that's my goal. What's yours? Share it with somebody. You just might inspire them. So remember to do what you do. Speak well, speak often, live inspired. Thanks, team.